نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد بسم الله. Today inshallah we will begin the tafsir of Surah Al-Waqiah. So Surah Al-Waqiah is a Makki surah, 96 ayahs and 3 ruku. And the name Waqiah, the inevitable, comes from the beginning of the surah, starts with the word Al-Waqiah to establish the certainty of the Day of Judgment. And what is the connection of this surah with the previous surah, Surah Ar-Rahman? Both Surah Ar-Rahman and Surah Al-Waqiah describe quality of Day of Judgment, paradise, and hellfire. In Surah Ar-Rahman, 2 groups of people are mentioned in the hereafter, Al-Muttaqeen and Mujrimeen, whereas Surah Al-Waqiah divides and further differentiates people into 3 groups, As-Sabiqun, Ashabul Yameen, and Ashabul Shimal. Another connection between the 2 surah is Surah Rahman emphasizes on the bounties and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whereas Surah Al-Waqiah primarily focuses on warning and punishment. A brief synopsis of the surah. So the surah begins with declaring certainty of Day of Judgment. It categorizes people in the hereafter into 3 different groups. It describes bounties prepared for As-Sabiqun and Ashabul Yameen, along with punishment waiting for Ashabul Shimal. The surah reminds of the blessings and power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala evident in our daily lives. And finally, it establishes sanctity of Quran to be touched only when in a purified state. Some of the virtues of this surah is, as it comes in a narration in Tirmidhi, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, شَيَّبَتْنِي هُودٌ وَالْوَاقِعَةُ وَالْمُرْسَلَاتُ وَعَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ وَإِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ. I have been made gray-haired by Hud, the inevitable, this is Surah Waqiah, Al-Mursalat, and what will they question one another about, Surah عَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ, and when the sun is overthrown, Surah Kuwirat. So the matters discussed in Surah Waqiah, along with all these other surahs, are very important, very serious, very grave, that we should feel how they impact our lives and reflect upon our daily activities, and the concern that would develop by understanding the meaning of these surahs will lead you to be mindful. And here Prophet ﷺ mentioned how the topics in these surahs about punishment in particular concerned him. Another virtue of the surah, as it comes in Shu'ab al-Iman, narrated by Abdullah bin Mas'ud radhiyallahu anhu, Man qara'a Surat al-Waqiah kulla laylatin lam tusibhu faqatun. Whoever recites Surah al-Waqiah every night, he will never be afflicted by poverty. Let's begin the tafsir of the surah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا وقعت الواقعة. When the occurrence occurs. Al-Waqiah is one of the names of Day of Judgment because there is no doubt in its occurrence, so it will definitely happen. ليس لوقعتها كاذبة. There is, at its occurrence, no denial. So كاذبة could mean that this news of occurrence of Day of Judgment cannot be false. It is a true news. And another meaning could be that no one can deny the fact that this will occur. So it is so certain you cannot deny it. As it comes in Surah Shura, ayat number 47, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, استجيبوا لربكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا مرد له من الله. Answer the call of your Lord before there comes from Allah a day which cannot be averted. And in Surah Ma'arij, the first 2 ayahs, سأل سائل بعذاب واقع للكافرين ليس له دافع. A questioner asks concerning a torment about to befall, upon the disbelievers, which none can avert. خافضة رافعة, it will bring down some and raise up some others. So what would this day do? هي خافضة للأشقياء رافعة للسعداء. This day, this event, Qiyamah, it lowers the wretched and raises the fortunate ones. Means people with high ranks in this world will be thrown to the lowest part of fire because of their sins, because of their disbelief. Whereas others who were considered lower in status in this world, perhaps because of their monetary status, they were believers and yet they did not have a high social rank, they will be elevated to the highest level of paradise. So when Qiyamah comes and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala establishes the accountability and determines where a person will go, to the paradise or to hellfire, there would be cases where people who were considered higher in rank in this world will actually fall into the hellfire, and people who were considered low in the society in terms of their status will actually attain highest level of paradise. May Allah make us among the people of paradise. إِذَا رُجَّتِ الْأَرْضُ رَجًّا, when the earth is shaken violently. رُجَّت means زُلزِلت وحركت تحريكا بشدة. So on the day of judgment, the entire earth from its surface to the depths will be violently shaken. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in another surah, Surah Zilzal, the first ayah, إِذَا زُلزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا, when the earth is shaken with its final earthquake. وَبُسَّتِ الْجِبَالُ بَسًّا, and the mountains are broken down, crumbling. Bussat means futtat, crushed, crumbled, broken into pieces. So on Day of Judgment, the mountains will be destroyed into dust, similar to what is described in Surah Al-Muzammil, ayat number 14. يَوْمَ تَرْجُفُ الْأَرْضُ وَالْجِبَالُ وَكَانَتِ الْجِبَالُ كَثِيبًا مَهِيلًا, on the day when the earth and the mountains will shake, and the mountains will be a heap of sand poured out. فَكَانَتْ هَبَاءً مُنْبَثًّا, and become dust dispersing. So هَبَاءً مُنْبَثًّا غُبَارًا مُتَفَرِّقًا مُنْتَشِرًا, scattered dust that is blown away. That would be the mountains. So the mountains will not only become heaps of dust, but this dust will be blown off, leaving no traces that the mountains even existed. وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا, and you will become of three categories. Azwajan mean asnaf and types, kinds. On Day of Judgment, people will be divided into three groups. One group will be on the right side of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second group will be on the left side of it. And the third group of people will be in the front of the throne. So people on the right will be Ashabul Yameen. They will be given book of deeds on the right hand and will enter paradise. People on the left will be Ashabul Shimal. They will be given book of deeds on the left hand and will be thrown in hellfire. And people in the front of the throne will be Sabiqun, al-Muqarrabun, the foremost, the nearest. They would include messengers, prophets, Siddiqeen, Shuhada, and Waliullah, the friends of Allah. This will be the smallest group and will have the highest status and reward. It comes in Surah Fatir, ayat number 32. ثُمَّ أَوْرَثْنَا الْكِتَابَ الَّذِينَ اصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا فَمِنْهُمْ ظَالِمٌ لِلنَّفْسِ وَمِنْهُمْ مُقْتَصِدٌ وَمِنْهُمْ سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْفَضْلُ الْكَبِيرُ. Then we cause to inherit the book those we have chosen of our servants, and among them is he who wrongs himself, and among them is he who is moderate, and among them is he who is foremost in good deeds by permission of Allah, that is indeed a great bounty. So in Surah Fatir, also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divided the people into three groups: person who wrongs himself, person who is moderate in his actions, and a third person who is eager, who is the first one to do good deeds. فَأَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ. Then the companions of the right, what are the companions of the right? وَأَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ. And the companions of the left, what are the companions of the left? وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ. And the foremost, the foremost. There are different interpretations of the word sabiqun. Mujahid says it means prophets. Ibn Sirin says it means early Muslims who prayed in both Baitul Maqdis as well as Baitullah. And Qatada says that in every ummah there will be a group which will be sabiqun. And the meaning of foremost is that they are foremost in performing the acts of righteousness, just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded them. It comes in Surah Al-Imran, ayat number 133, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ أَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And hasten to forgiveness from your Lord, and a garden as wide as the heavens and the earth, prepared for the righteous. And in Surah Hadid, ayat number 21, سابقوا إلى مغفرة من ربكم وجنة أرضها كأرض السماء والأرض أعدت للذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله. Race towards forgiveness from your Lord, and a garden whose width is like the width of the heavens and the earth, prepared for those who believed in Allah and His messengers. So these two ayats are also telling us about the need to feel urgency in taking actions. And then in a couple of hadith, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also emphasizes on the eagerness that should be in a mu'min to do a good deed, narrated by Abu Hurairah in Muslim. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, بادروا بالأعمال فتنا كقطع الليل المظلم يصبح الرجل مؤمنا ويمسي كافرا ويمسي مؤمنا ويصبح كافرا يبيع دينه بعرض من الدنيا. Hasten to perform good deeds before a tribulation, which will be like the dark part of the night, in which a man will be a believer in the morning and an unbeliever in the evening, or he will be a believer in the evening and an unbeliever in the morning. He would sell his faith for some goods in this world. Another narration, narrated by Abu Hurairah in Tirmidhi, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, بادروا بالأعمال سبعا هل تنظرون إلا فقرا منسيا أو غنى مطغيا أو مرضا مفسدا أو هرما مفندا أو موتا مجهزا أو الدجال فشر غائب ينتظر أو الساعة فالساعة أدهى وأمر. Hasten to perform good deeds before 7 events. Are you waiting for poverty that makes you forgetful, or wealth that burdens you, or a debilitating disease, or senility, or sudden death, or the Dajjal? Or is it evil in the unseen you're waiting for, or the hour itself? The hour is more calamitous and more bitter. We also learn about the actions of Sahaba. When they heard about a command from Allah, they would not wait. They would not consider the after effect of taking an action. Rather, they would just act upon the command. And think about that in comparison to our eagerness today, when we are waiting for Black Friday. How are we eager, looking through all the different sales available online, even if you don't intend to go and line up outside like many people do outside a mall, just to get to the line first so that you can get the best deal. You are feverishly waiting for the sale to begin online and making sure you can click in and place your order first because of limited quantities. We understand this concept in the context of worldly matters, of how if you do not race towards getting that deal, you will miss it. So we understand that. The same thing, however, does not translate into our actions when it comes to good deeds, when it comes to matters of religion, where if we are being told to rush, let's say to give sadaqah, or let's say offer prayer in the early time, as soon as it becomes obligatory and the time comes, and there could be many examples in our daily life, then that's not something that is top of mind. So let's make an intention, inshallah. We will try our best as soon as the opportunity arises, whether it is to do a good deed, a personal action, or give out charity or any other matter. You get enough wealth to go to Hajj. You don't wait for, when you get more free time, you make your effort, make an intention and go. All similar matters, you have your money of zakah, when it becomes wajib, try to give it out as soon as you can. So these are the actions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look at and inshallah consider us among sabiqun. May Allah make us among sabiqun. And what is the reward for sabiqun? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the next ayah, أولئك المقربون. Those are the ones brought near to Allah or nearest to Allah. في جنات النعيم, in the gardens of pleasure. Let's quickly review ayats 1 to 12. So we learn about Day of Judgment is certain and cannot be aborted once it begins. Faith and piety elevates a status in the hereafter, whereas disbelief and disobedience lowers it. So people who may have higher status in this world may not get the same status in the hereafter. They might be thrown into the lowest of hellfire. And people who have low social status, yet they're pious, yet they have the belief of Islam, they will be elevated to the highest status in Jannah. Allah described 3 groups of people on the Day of Judgment: As-Sabiqun, Ashabul Yamin, and Ashabul Shimal. And Allah expects us to be eager in obedience. And once we show that haste, He rewards us dearly, as we will learn about the reward of the Muqarrabun, those who are nearest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم